So, let's get into a financial look by going to Matthew 24. Remember, this whole series on Sunday nights about the end of days is predicated on Jesus' promises and prophecies that are contained starting in the Olivet Discourse in Matthew 24. And Jesus explained to us, and some of you have already heard me say this enough you could repeat it, but I want to underline it in your minds. In Matthew 24, verse 8, and 33 and 34, that there are events that would begin. And those events would all begin a countdown, a marching toward the end of days. And Jesus said this, all of these things that he was describing in verse 8 are the beginning of sorrows. And then he says in verse 33, so you also, when you see all these things. So he says, the things that are prophesied are all out there as just the beginning of sorrows. But when you see all of the things, all of the elements, all of the trends, when you see all of them, verse 33 says, when you see all these things, know it's near. It's at the doors. So know that you're getting close, not to the last days, but to what the Bible calls the end of days. And that's what we're looking at, are those trends. And we've gotten through 4. And this evening we're looking at the 5th trend. Now remember, all these trends start small, and they just grow. And as they start small at their inception, and then they become like birth pangs. They become harder and closer together, and harder and closer together, and harder until the birth. And the birth, in this context that Jesus uses, is his second coming at the end of the tribulation. So he said all these things are going to be, in the final generation, all these trends are going to be present. And the 5th trend is the sign of what I like to call global commerce, digitalized money, and global tracking and positioning. Let's go back to Revelation 13 and let me show you what I mean. Because most of us have heard of this verse, and I've alluded to it several times, but often we've never thought about it in the context of what it's saying. And that's in Revelation 13, starting in verses 16 and 17. God's Word describes a future time when money is tied to a number. And only one with a number can buy or sell anything. Now, it's not like having your eBay account, or it's not like having, your account number at this or that. It's no buying or selling anywhere in the world will be possible without this number. That's what the Bible describes. And that there would be technology that is capable of tracking that event. Now think about that, because what the Bible is talking about is, it's talking about a time when someone really can control buying and selling on a global scale. All of these signs, by the way, are global. There have been little pockets here and there where these things all happen, but we're seeing before our eyes. And I believe as we tonight just think about what's happened just this year, in the year 2008, we have seen something amazing happen before our eyes to bring the whole world together in an economic way that never seemed possible before. But it says in verse 16 of Revelation 13, he, this is that world leader, global leader, the beast, the Antichrist, the man of sin, whatever of the 30 different designations the Bible gives him that you want to call him, he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads. Verse 17. And that's where everyone just starts gyrating on that. What is it? And every time you see 666 in a license plate or something, you're just, or you see it in the logo of, but what we don't catch is this next part. And no one may buy or sell except the one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. You see, it's buying and selling attached to a number. It is no longer attached to the money in hand. It's no longer attached to the commodity in hand. It's no longer attached to the crop that's brought in. It's no longer attached to the craftsmanship that's done. It's money has been digitalized. And it is now, the digitalization is under the control of this political leader, this global leader. That's the essence. How close are we getting to that scenario? Well, I thought about that the last week of August. We got here and I pulled in and the rental needed to be mowed. So I zipped right down to Home Depot. And I looked over and found a lawnmower and stuck it in my cart. And I started pushing. I got in there and she punched it and scanned it and asked for my credit card to hand it to her. And she put it in. And leaned down like this, and she said, "You need to go over there." I thought, ooh. So I went over there. It was the service counter. And just as I got there, the phone started ringing. And the lady picked it up, and she started eyeing me. Did they ever do that to you? Looking at me. She said, "They want to talk to you." And I said, "Oh, okay." And right away, the lady gets on there and says, "Hi." They're completely suspicious of you. By the way, it was Nebraska, the Visa fraud department for all the cards, and they've been tracking me. They saw that I was moving around geographically, and they knew that the little credit card was from Oklahoma, and they found it buying a major item in Michigan. And they suspected fraud. And so there I was, talking to this lady who was totally suspicious of me, and she said, "Who is this?" And I told her. She said, "Tell me 3 places you've been in the last few days." I said, "Who are you?" How did I know it was really Visa? Before you start. Could have been, the person in the back that runs the custodial service and was trying to get my credit card. I didn't know, but I said, "Okay." I said, "I went to St. Louis." She said, "Yes, you did. What did you do in St. Louis?" And I told her. She said, "Okay, tell me more." I said, well, how much more do you want to know? I said, "I stopped and bought a little gas in Indianapolis." She said, "Okay, tell me one more and I'll let you go." And I said, "I went to Myers." She said, "Where?" I said, "Kalamazoo." "Okay," she said, "you can have your lawnmower." She knew who I was. She knew everywhere I was. She was looking at a screen. She could see where I bought gas and where I stayed in a hotel and where I traveled and the geographic place. And she had all the information on me. And she even asked me to give her, another time I tried buying something here. It was in Home Depot. She asked me to give her a number. She said, "Now tell me this." She says, "What was your address where you used to live? Just give me the first 4 numbers." And I thought, what all are you looking at there? I mean, we don't even have any, it's just, this is normal life. That's nothing strange to all of us. But you know what? They cleared me from the desk, and I went over to my cart, and the lady smiled at me and handed me back my card and said, "All set, sir, there you go." As I loaded that in the car, I fully expected a Visa card representative to be back at the rental to see if I was really going to mow the lawn with the lawnmower I bought. Because they probably knew the address of that. But that's how close we are. We have come to the place where we are being tracked. Every time you swipe that card, every time you poke it in the gas pump, every time they haul it away at the restaurant, it's going down. And the computer banks know where you are, where you're buying that, what you're buying, when you're out of character, when you are out of your area, when you're buying something abnormal. It's constantly, and the computers are just looking for anomalies. And that's just all just sprouted in the background. We kind of live with that constantly. But think about it. We are living in an era of global commerce with digitalized money, which right there in Revelation 13 is a number, and with global tracking attached to it, where they know where you are when you buy it. It's an amazing thought. And what could possibly ever cause fiercely independent Americans and Britishers to surrender their sovereignty of their dollar or their pound to a global currency? Well, it would take a situation where the whole world would begin to focus on money, and where the whole world would get alarmed as they see the loss of something dear to them. And I believe that that's a little bit of what we're seeing right now. Because a severe crash, a panic, or a global depression would immediately cause people to start considering maybe having a little better financial system.